If you're looking to upsize from your current home to a larger home in Pickering, you have to watch this video. I'm going to go through the 5 most important aspects when upsizing and costly mistakes I've seen upsizers make numerous times. I'm Giancarlo Morales and I help owners upsize. For over a decade, I've been helping clients sell for top dollars and get into the right home with as little stress as possible. I don't want to waste time, so let's dive right in. You've heard it 1,000 times before, which is why number one is location, location, location. Pick a location that makes sense for you. Pickering is a smart move for many upsizers right now. Why? Because Pickering is exploding with growth, and in Durham region, it's one of Canada's fastest growing areas. It's fueled by major investments and expansion in infrastructure. Not to mention, you get more of a bang for your buck compared to Toronto, while still being super connected to the GTA. Quick fact, the number one reason most people hesitate to upsize is due to affordability and financial fear. The motivation may be there. You've outgrown your space. The den functioning as a second bedroom or office doesn't cut it anymore. You're getting married and moving in together, planning to start a family. Perhaps you're just simply tired of condo living and you want to be closer to family or work. Maybe you've got a promotion underway and you're now in a position to level up. Regardless of the motivation or life changes, you want to explore your options, but you're afraid that you won't be able to manage with the higher mortgage payments, property taxes, and just overall maintenance costs that come with upsizing. So before we begin to explore any opportunities, you need to know where you stand financially, which brings me to number two. Yes, one of life's greatest stressors, finances. What is your current position? This is a key question. One of the first things upsizers need to ask is, where am I at? Do you have savings? Do you have a good job? Are you expecting a promotion? How much are you making? Do you own a property? If so, congratulations, you already have some equity to work with. Where are you in life? Or what is the life stage you're in? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Or what is your goal? Outgrowing space, settling down, starting a family. In any case, having savings and equity in a current property are huge accomplishments because it shows you've built some good habits financially and it puts you in a better position to make your next move. So, number three, you got to take in the inventory. Now is the time to look into the details of both the sale and what a purchase means. Determine what your current property is worth. If you currently own a property, what is it truly worth right now? How much equity have you built that you can actually leverage? Equity is a portion of your home that you actually own, which is determined by just taking your home's worth today and subtracting whatever you own to the bank. That difference is your equity. Do yourself a favor. Let the professional do their job. Don't type your address into House Sigma or Zillow to get the market value of your home. What you really need to do is get a professional, a realtor that has their pulse on the market and is able to handpick true comparables of sold condos that match your unit's features, such as finishes, layouts, views, upgrades, and just overall condition. After all, not all condos are the same. These are the details that actually count and impact the sale price and cannot be measured by an automated tool. Additionally, a realtor can actually analyze other metrics like price trends, average days on the market, absorption rate, and the overall competitiveness of your building that can be useful to gauge whether now is a good time or bad time to sell. Create a net sheet. This is a big part of your affordability calculator right here because the sale price isn't your net profit. We want to estimate how much you're going to walk away with after selling so you can be more confident knowing how much you will have towards a down payment and closing costs on the next purchase. This is an example of a net sheet. It's basically a document that estimates your net proceeds by subtracting all the costs, as you can see here, commission, your closing costs, the mortgage payoff balance, the prorated taxes. This net sheet will help you map out your best, worst, and in between scenarios. So we want to compare your current carrying costs with the expenses that come up with upsizing. Always a side-by-side view will give you a realistic picture of how much your costs might change and help you avoid any unexpected expenses that come up with upsizing. As a quick example, we compared the average Toronto condo to that of the average semi-detached in Pickering. And long story short, after looking at your mortgage, property taxes, maintenance, there's only a difference of $300. There's no question that owning a house does come with more expenses and responsibilities. For example, you will have to deal with planting, window and roof replacement for older homes, snow removal, furnace, AC maintenance, and even the need to purchase new tools like a snowblower, lawnmower, to name a few. There are additional considerations, of course, to be mindful, whether it's about budgeting or if you will be hiring help or investing the time into your new home yourself. What surprises a lot of people is that once you do the comparison, the differential between owning a house and a condo, as you can see from this example, is not as high as people assume. And when you actually factor in the higher upside potential with owning a house, the extra space, the satisfaction, and the long-term appreciation, moving up starts to make a lot of sense, which brings us to number 4. What should I do first? Us realtors, we get this all the time. Should I buy first, then sell, or sell first and then buy? Like any major decision, it helps to weigh the pros and cons to see which approach makes the most sense for you. So let's look at buy first, then sell. What are some of the pros? You're able to seize opportunities as they're presented. You're able to take advantage of fire sales. You have the flexibility to wait for the perfect house for you. If you buy now and the market goes up, of course, you benefit from rising market pricing and you can, of course, sell for more. What are some of the cons? Well, if prices fall, you miss out buying at a discount. You run the risk of not being able to sell for some reason and may potentially put you in a situation where you need to carry both properties at the same time. There are solutions for this, like bridge financing, which of course you can always discuss with a mortgage broker. Another example is if the market softens, you may need to drop the price on the sale, and that may force you to scramble on the closing of the new purchase. Logically, buying first has benefits, but there's far more financial risk involved. Before we dive into the pros and cons of selling versus buying first, it is important to know whether we're in a buyer or seller's market, as this can help, of course, pick the best approach. In order to do this, we need to analyze the market, which is measured by several factors, including months of inventory. We say that we're in a buyer's market if we have 6 months or more of inventory, a seller's market if we're between 0 and 3 months of inventory, and a balanced market between 4 to 6 months. We also have to look at days on the market. How long is it taking for properties to sell? And what are the price trends? For example, a condo inventory right now for resale condos in Toronto has reached about 7 months of inventory, signaling a buyer's market, while months of inventory for single detached homes is closer to around 5.1, which tells us we are in a more balanced market. In this instance, many would agree that you're better off to sell first and then buy. Now, let's study the flip side. Let's say we were to sell first, then buy. Some of the pros. Well, you know exactly what the proceeds are that you're working with on your next purchase. So you remove risk of carrying two properties. This helps you mitigate financial loss if market softens. Some of the cons. Well, if you sell too quickly and you're unable to find something you love, then that's a problem. Or perhaps you can find something and don't have a place to move into. And this could put you in a situation where you feel like you're in a rush buying process. So selling first lowers risk, but can limit options and increase stress during buying. This is why it's always important to look at your current situation. In the end, the strategy you adopt will depend on your specific circumstances, financial strength, risk tolerance, and marketability of your current property. Which brings you to number 5. Is it the right time to upsize? Most people wish they could time the market perfectly. Unfortunately, this is close to impossible to achieve. Naturally, people feel inclined to sell when prices are trending upwards and days on the market are low. However, this can always be a double-edged sword when you're selling and buying. On one end, you may be selling for top dollars, and on the other end, you may end up paying top dollars. So it basically becomes a wash. If you're flexible, on the other hand, you can sell when the market conditions are more favorable and re-enter the market when it's more favorable to buy. This strategy, however, requires patience, time, and alternative housing arrangements. For example, you may have to rent for a few years, or you may have to move back with your parents until the market adjusts in your favor. Most people, however, do not have these privileges and are fearful of losing the net proceeds from the sold property in such time. Alternatively, you can play a more strategic move. You can sell for less today, but then you can also get the opportunity to purchase in the same market, trading up at a lower price point as well. Purchase price matters. After all, we marry the price and we date the rate. Also known as the mortgage rate will always change, but your purchase price remains the same. So is it the right time to upsize? Yes. On a macro level, there's lots of properties to choose from on the market. Prices are down, little competition, giving you some real negotiating power as a buyer. On the selling side, it's a bit trickier as you're facing more competition and prices are stagnant or slipping in some cases. That's why it's so important to look closely at your current market and the market you're trying to move into. Once you do this, you'll have a much clearer picture of whether now is the right time for you. Here's one quick way to think about it. If condo values have dropped $40,000, but the home you're looking to purchase is down $100,000, then the question naturally becomes, do you wait for your condo to bounce back 40,000 only to pay $100,000 more on the purchase? Well, that's why sometimes the smarter move isn't waiting. It's about taking advantage of the opportunities that the market is giving you right now. That being said, once again, everyone's situation is unique. Is it the right time for you? Let's connect one-on-one to assess your situation. Hope you found some part of the 5 most important aspects of upsizing useful. And whatever your needs or fear is, contact me and let me know where you need help.